What's up, guys? Welcome to the JennDanielle experience. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. So today's video is just going to be just a really chill kind of chat about some things that I noticed on my latest Virgin Voyages cruise. So if you guys don't know, I just completed my 12th Virgin cruise and I have been sailing with them since 2022. They went into effect or, started sailing in 2021. They were supposed to before in 2020 with COVID. They pushed them back. So they have only been around a couple of years. So I have been able to see kind of this gradual growth and change. And I noticed on my last cruise that they are really making an effort to make some serious changes. So I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the things that I experienced for the first time and some of the changes I noticed. So be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like. Let's get into this video. So I actually made a whole little list as I was seeing these things because there were so many of them that I was like, there's no way I'm going to remember when I get back. So the first thing was the app. So if you guys have sailed Virgin Voyages, you probably know the app can sometimes be a thorn in your side. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes it doesn't. So Virgin Voyages actually rolled out a brand new app right before I boarded my cruise last month. And so we were kind of in between and using two apps, which was a little tricky and you honestly didn't know which one to use. So I can't give you guys my full stamp of approval or full thoughts on this new app because I really didn't get much of a chance to use it because it didn't work well for the things I was doing. Hopefully Virgin is working through those kinks, but if you didn't know, there is a new app. I know if you have an iPhone, it's available in the App Store to download. I'm not sure if it's available for Android yet, but just be on the lookout for that, and hopefully I'll have some feedback for you guys soon. The next thing that I noticed were luggage tags. So this was another thing that came out of nowhere. If you aren't familiar with Virgin's process, it was something that I really liked where you would just pull up to the port, give the porter your cabin number and give them your bags that you wanted delivered to your cabin. Well, right before this cruise started, I don't know exactly where it was, but they started sending these luggage tags via email that you could print out and, just staple on or connect to your bag to give to the porter. Now, I felt like it was very efficient to just need my cabin number and they write it down, but I can understand why people want luggage tags and it probably will speed up the process at the port a little bit. So hopefully that is a good change and, we kind of get some understanding as to when that's going to happen or how often that's going to happen, and it'll be one way or the other. But as of right now, you still can, just give the porter your bags and they write your cabin number, but you may get some luggage tags in your email. Now, one of the things I noticed that I'm hearing about the luggage tags is that they typically come like the day before your cruise, which is kind of like if you flew out early or you are spending the day in Miami or whatever port, you're not going to be able to get them. So they still have some things to work out with that one too, but luggage tags do exist now. So this next one is where we get into the fun stuff. So I did something that I tell you guys to never do, but I am used to doing it and I have a process for why I do it. But I flew in the day of my cruise. So I flew in that morning into Fort Lauderdale and took a lift over to the port of Miami. So typically when I fly in the day of, I will hang at the airport for a little while until it's time to board. So Virgin typically has boarding somewhere in like the 2 o'clock, 2:30 range. So if I'm flying the first flight of the morning, which is what I recommend you do if you're going to fly in the day of, I'm getting to Miami or Fort Lauderdale at like maybe 7 a.m., 8 a.m. So I'm usually spending quite a bit of time sitting in the airport and just waiting for that boarding time to head over to the port. Well, this time, since I was meeting some of my cruise with me ladies, so shout out to you guys, I decided to go ahead and come over to the port and do early check-in. Now, I was not aware that early check-in made your process so much easier when you get to the port because they will go ahead and take the bags that you want delivered to your cabin and you can go in and show your passport and they will give you your wristband then. So I had my wristband by about 11 a.m. that morning. And so then once I got back to the cruise port, I was able to just go straight upstairs, and go through security and board the ship. So it made the process so much faster and easier. And I really like that. I wish I would have known that was in place. I don't know why I never knew that, but if you get to the port early, you can go ahead, do your early check-in, and it will speed up your process of getting on the ship later. So I know you guys are wondering, what did I do since I got to the port so early, since it was 11 and I couldn't board till 2? Well, I went to Bayside. So I have been hearing for the longest that there is a trolley that will take you to Bayside, which is a little marketplace area that isn't far. It's probably about a mile away, but I don't think it's walking distance. And it was so hot. So this free trolley, there has been inconsistency with if it existed, if it didn't. So that's why you guys have never heard me talk about it, because I wasn't sure. But the trolley does exist. The problem is the trolley takes forever, depending on, you know, if you're lucky and it just happens to be coming to take you over. So if you want to go to Bayside and check it out, if you want to like grab a meal, sit at Starbucks or do any of that over there, I think it's a beautiful area, but just be prepared to just pay to take a lift there and a lift back, because getting there, I probably waited maybe 15 minutes for the trolley to get there, which was fine. It dropped us off. We were able to go and have drinks, walk around, see kind of like the shopping, and it's a really beautiful area if you guys see it here. So there are tons of restaurants and a Starbucks, which you guys know I like to sit at a Starbucks, so it was really nice to do that while waiting to board the ship. But the nightmare came in when it was time to go back, because they told me, since I already had my wristband and stuff, to get there about 15 minutes early, which would have been 1:45. And so we went out probably an hour before it was time. So it was like 12:45, waiting for this trolley, and we waited an entire hour. It was in the blistering heat, and I feel like we saw no less than 15 trolleys drive by, and they weren't the one that was picking us up. So I would not advise, depending on the trolley, to get back, definitely, because it was just a nightmare. So we ended up paying for a lift. I ended up getting a group lift to get as many of us back to the port as possible, and we just had to pay for it. Wasn't expensive, but it was an unexpected expense, so just keep that in mind. All right, so the next differences weren't really that big of a deal, but the first one I really appreciated, which was they have a heat protector on the desk. Now, if you guys know anything about cruising, they are quick to charge you for any damages or anything that you do to the room. So I'm always very careful. Well, I'm careful anyway, but I'm extra careful on cruises because I do not want to get charged for stuff. So they actually put a heat protector on the desk, which is going to be a place for you to sit like your wand or your flat iron or anything that's warm, so that you won't burn up their desk. So I was happy to see that that was in place, because I'm always trying to maneuver my tools a certain way to keep them from burning that desk. So I found that to be helpful. The next thing I noticed in the room was that I received my first invite to the sailing club. So after you complete 2 completed full sailings, on your 3rd sailing, you get invited to Virgin Voyages, Blue Extras Sailing Club. So yeah, it's really, I don't know why they would go with blue and everything is red. But anyway, it's called Blue Extras. I did an entire video, so be sure to check it out. I will put it in the description so that you guys can watch it and see some of the perks I got. But I got the piece of paper in the room letting me know that I was now invited to a private event and like a little cocktail party. I got a daily coffee for free from the specialty coffee shop, as well as a bag of laundry, which I found to be so helpful. It was so nice coming home with clean clothes this time. But if you want to see that full experience and see me talk about all the perks you get, be sure to watch this other video. Along the lines of things I noticed in the room, I also noticed that there were towels. Now, if you guys have watched my videos, you know I always tell you the tip of remember to go to the pool on deck 15 and grab your towels before you get off of the ship, because unlike a lot of other cruise lines, they did not have the towels available for you that they could hand you. Well, they have now placed the towels in the cabin, which I found to be so helpful. I honestly have not heard anybody else talk about this, so it was a surprise to me when I got there and saw them. So hopefully this is something that is consistent across all voyages, because it is very inconvenient to have to go upstairs and grab your towels, and remember to do that before you get off the ship. Now, I will tell you, when I zoomed in here, you guys will see there is a $25 charge if you do not replace those towels or keep them in the room. So just be sure that you keep up with where they are. Be sure that you keep eyes on them, and if you do take them off the ship, be sure to bring them back so that you will not get charged $25, because they will hit your card up over those towels. Okay, so after the differences in the room and I boarded and all that, the next difference was the sail away party. Now, we know Carnival does sail away like no other, so I'm not even gonna say that this was like a Carnival sail away with the line dances. However, this sail away was a little bit more turned up than what I have experienced on my previous Virgin Voyages cruises. So typically they will just announce the happenings cast, and they will kind of like play some music. It's usually like pop, kind of music, and you get your champagne to do the champagne toast, and it's just kind of, it's a classy sail away. Well, this time they had a conga line. Now, I don't know if that's because of the happenings cast that is on board, but we were all like dancing in a circle, and it really kind of gave me that little bit of carnival vibe with a little class to it. So it was a really good time, and I enjoyed jumping in it and doing like the whole walk and a lap around the pool. I thought it was really fun and a really nice addition. So hopefully they continue to kind of lift the vibes for Sail Away, and that they begin to be like really distinct between each of the ships. So like I said, I don't know if that was this particular happenings cast that started that, or if that's something that they are trying to implement across all the ships, but I thought it was a good addition. Now, I told you guys Virgin has been around for about 4 years, and one thing that they're starting to do is to differentiate between each of the ships. I noticed for this particular sailing that the shows have already begun to switch out. So this was the first time in a long time that I did not see dual reality on the ship. And dual reality is a really cool show to see your first time. It's kind of like an acrobatic Romeo and Juliet. But to be honest, after 12 sailings, I was ready for that to go. So I was very happy to see that they now have a new show, and it was by a group, I think they're called the Magnets, and they were kind of like barbershop quartet, kind of like bebop. I don't know. I'm gonna let you guys see what it was like though. Let's get down tonight. So yeah, they were so good. When I tell you, like, this is the caliber of show that I really want to see Virgin implement across all the ships. Now, I always tell you guys, I feel like Resilient has the best shows with those Greek themed shows, but this is definitely one of the top shows I have seen on Virgin. This group was so phenomenal, and I just love the way they sound, and they were a hit because I think they did like 2 different shows on board, and I tried to get in there a little bit late in the red room, and there was no getting in late because they had the place packed. But this was such a good addition and something I'm so glad to see they are implementing. Along the lines of that, the activities during the day are starting to change as well. So if you guys saw, I was talking about on Instagram how they did the line dance class, which is called boot scratching something. I can't remember. But it started off with like a country little 2-step, and then they did Beyonce's Texas Hold'em, and then of course they did Boots on the Ground. So they were teaching you how to do all these line dances, and a member of the Happenings cast, Allie, shout out to you, girl, if you're watching this. She taught you step by step what to do for these line dances, and it's about an hour long and takes place in the manor. So this was such a fun class and such a good time. I have 2 left feet though, so I was struggling. I was fighting for my life, as you guys can see in this video. But I had such a good time doing that, and I love the fact that they're doing new different classes that challenge me and are things that I would never do at home. Like when I tell you guys, I would not embarrass myself in front of people, but it's something about being on the cruise and knowing that you will never see these people again. Well, that used to be my story, because now I see y'all all the time, but most of the time you'll never see these people again. So you can just like lighten up and laugh at yourself and just try new things. So that's what this class was for me, and I thought it was such a great addition. And the best of all, it was no extra money. So this is one of the classes that is included with your cruise fare. Along the lines of the towel situation I talked about, when you get on board, the towels being in your room, I also noticed for the first time in Bimini that they allow you to check out towels. So it used to be where you would go up at Bimini Beach Club and just get however many towels you needed. It didn't matter if you put them back or not, which I always suggest to do that, y'all. Don't make the staff work harder than they have to. But now you have to give them your cabin number, and once again, if you do not bring those towels back, you can receive a fine. And I think those were $25 fine as well. So just make sure whatever towels that you check out, you take them back to the attendant and you get your cabin number checked off. Now, let's talk about the pool party and Bimini and things like that, because I've noticed that when it comes to music, a lot of times it's like the DJ kind of has a set and the Happenings cast is performing. But y'all, this time once again, the conga line came into play. So this one was really cute because a lot of people were on the floaties. And so you're dancing around in a circle in the pool and just jumping, and you have all of the floaties. And of course, it's adults only. So there are no children there, and you're just having a good time and just like being a child again. So I really, really enjoyed this conga line thing. And I don't know where this came from. I have not seen anybody else talk about this happening on Virgin. So don't know if this was a one-off or not, but if you have sailed Virgin recently, or if you are sailing recently in the near future, be sure to let me know in the comments. Did you experience this conga line thing on Valiant Lady? Whew, yo, it's a lot of changes. All right, so we're getting down to the last. So the biggest difference that you're going to see when it comes to Virgin Voyages that they're making is going to be the food. So they're definitely starting to switch out some of the food items. Of course, with more than 20 eateries that are included, you could really like get away with never trying everything, because I don't think at this point I have, because I'm a person, when I find something I like, I stick with it. But I will tell you, they are switching out some of the food items. And this is going to be the first thing that I'm kind of like, why? Why? So noodle around, let's talk about it first. So we'll talk about the positive first. So noodle around is where you would typically go to get ramen. So I have noticed that they do a rotating on the days with noodle around. I don't know if they do 2 and 2, or if they do like one day you have the ramen, the next day you have pad thai. But I did notice for the first time that they have incorporated a pad thai kind of noodle day at noodle around. So I think that's pretty cool, because I mean, they have ramen, which is kind of like soup-like, but this pad thai, of course, is going to be dry. They have a chicken one. I don't think they had shrimp, or I can't remember, but they had a couple different options. I'll be sure to insert them here so you guys can see them. But noodle around has gotten some changes in the galley, and that was the biggest one I noticed there. But the food change that had me like, why would y'all do that, was extra virgin. So the Italian restaurant was one that I kind of was sleeping on, because I'm typically not a big Italian fan. But I thought that Extra Virgin had one of the best steaks when I tried it. Like, I probably was 7 cruises in before I tried it. And I thought that steak was so good. I love, love, love the oxtail ravioli, which everybody loves. Y'all, the oxtail ravioli is gone. It is gone from Valiant Lady. I don't know about the other ships, but they have switched it out on the menu with something else. I tried some of the new items. So you'll see here they took away the beef. What is it called? Like beef capriccio, or whatever that kind of like raw like beef is. They took that off the menu and switched it out. They also switched out some of the noodle plates, and they have switched out the steak. Y'all, honestly, I was not a big fan of any of the stuff that they switched out at Extra Virgin. So, unfortunately, I don't think Extra Virgin is going to be a restaurant that hits the top of my list anymore, or that I'll be like jumping to go to. I'm sure they have some good stuff. I'm going to go back eventually and try some of the other items, but I wanted to try everything new just to see what I thought of it. And I was not a fan, guys. Oh, I know. That is so sad. I wish they would put the oxtail ravioli back. And I mean, I can live with them switching out the steak, because the steak wasn't that big of a deal or bad. But when you look at the old one compared to it, it was just so good. But yeah, so the restaurants and menus are changing. I've also heard that Gumbay has made changes, but apparently that happened this next sailing after I got off. So I did hear they still have the chicken that's really good, but they have changed out quite a few plates and offerings at Gumbay as well. So look forward to that. And if you've experienced it, let me know. So we have reached the final change, and this one I think is going to be great news for you guys. So I noticed for the first time under Short Things that you could book a shuttle from the cruise port to Miami International, or MIA Airport. This is going to be great, because it used to be that you would have to rely on Lyft or Uber to get there. The only thing to keep in mind is that they're going to do this shuttle very early. So I think it left at like 8 a.m. or something. So you're going to have to be one of the first people off the ship. And Virgin typically will let you stay on the 10, but if you want to catch the shuttle, you're going to have to get off and make it in time. So I think that's really great that they finally have incorporated a shuttle to get to the airport. Hopefully they do one for Fort Lauderdale soon, because Fort Lauderdale is pretty expensive once you add in the Uber, but it still ends up working out for me and being a cheaper flight usually. The price of this at the time that I took this video was $35. So you can expect, you know, that flat rate of $35 to get from the cruise terminal to the airport to make your flight back home. If you guys have any questions about anything Virgin Voyages, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you want me to talk about next, because you guys really decide the videos. I base them on the questions that I receive. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and this will help you with what to expect on your next Virgin cruise. Be sure to hit the subscribe on your way out if you have not, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.